Welcome back to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. Christian Pedersen, Colton Toll. We are now in what the 7th-ish week of the high school season, maybe the 8th by the time you are watching this, but we are in the point where the statistical production and results has yielded us enough that power rankings of official nature are coming out. The way that this all works out during the regular season, the voters vote, the voters being the secretive cabal of sports writers and digital and media, old-timey personalities all coming together to email John Matthew their popularity picks or whatever the hell you want to argue on Twitter about. But none of that actually amounts to anything because none of that goes anywhere in terms of actual seeding. CIF has a formula that they use that has been hotly debated, but they use it, and it comes out after week 6 of the season with the official rankings. Some of this looks a little bit different than others. But before we get to any of that, let's get to a quick word from our sponsor, the U.S. Army. Thanks again to the U.S. Army for their support of SDPI. Colton Toll and I will now talk about Division 3. This one, I have already said this about D5, that this one confused me the most. This one, the low chunk, confused me the most about who's down at the OLI in the bottom of the bubble. Here we go. RBV, Imperial, Point Loma, UC, Patrick Henry, Del Norte, Morse. Bonita Vista round out the top 8. You can see, though, once you get down, you got Bishops, San Pasqual, Santana, Escondido. I mean, even at Morse and El Cap, you can make a case for, on their best day, they could be a champion in all this. That being said, though, at this point in the season, RBV has looked absolutely dominant with the exception of one game. And, I will very often allow you one game. Football allows you one play, one game, one, what do you like? One thing, one bounce, one rain game, one whatever. They've got Ramona, San Pasqual, Valley Center, Fallbrook left this season. So there's no hiding in that schedule in terms of how good or how elite they are and how good or elite they want to be and want to project themselves as. I don't want to come across as a hater because sometimes I can do this, but I want to say that to me, it's unlikely that RBV, I'll put it this way. I don't think RBV has zero stress every week between now and the end of the season in terms of trying to hold on to that one spot. I think there are other teams that have easier statistical routes through the rest of the season and easier remaining schedules to stay up there than RBV does. But I would also say that at the end of the season, if RBV does still have that 1 seed, then they have probably proven themselves to not be the team they were for that 1L and probably deserve that 1 seed. The Imperial Tigers, another team that is high up here, another team that is absolutely worth fearing every year because that's like an iron sharpens iron thing out there. As the intern over here starts chewing on my foot. Pulling up their schedule now. Imperial closes out with Holtville, Brawley, Central, and Southwest El Centro. So Brawley and Central, those are going to both be really tough games for Imperial to hold on to that higher spot. But I think Imperial still ends in the 1 through 4 seed somewhere in here. You get down, though. I have said on the show publicly that I think Morse could be a champion because it has Demarion Wright. I mean, it has a whole offense and it has a whole defense and everything, but it has something that Tracy McNair has always proven that if he has a goon, a one-stop shop for everything offensively, that he can turn that into championships. And they've lost, but they still got a great schedule left. And, conceivably are the most safely sound conservative possible road pick you could ever have in a high school football team, where they're just going to eventually direct snap it to their running back. You're like, all right, great.
It's not fun to go against.
Yeah. Same with LCAP. They've got a great offense that's in the burgeoning of it'll be really good the next couple years, but they could snake one out where with what they've got left this season, I could see them being like a little slept on and then, an 11 seed that gets a dub. I also think Bishops is really good. They've taken a couple of really hard L's. Bishops would be a lot higher if they beat University City last week, and that game came down to a botched coverage assignment and then a missed Hail Mary. So you could argue that the difference between 5 and 11 right now is a sophomore at Bishops remembering to go to the left side instead of the right side. And that's freaking insane. Colton, some of those teams, though, you wanted to talk about. Who did you want to highlight specifically?
Make a good point. This division is extremely deep. It could be the deepest division in San Diego football right now. I like to point.
Just think about that. The difference between 4 and 11, 7 seeds worth of difference in quality of football is up
a
to
football play. It's
like, yeah, and or just whether or not the Bishops hold. Like, it's just, there is an absurd sentence to describe the difference between University City, Patrick Henry, Del Norte, Morris, Bonita Vista, El Cap, West Hills, and Bishops, which is, to me, absolute insanity.
I want to talk about Point Loma. They have, I think, it's safe to say, the best player in the division, Chase Lowry, one of the best two-way guys in San Diego, playing middle linebacker, running back. Every week, it feels like there's a highlight of him, or he's up there for the best players of the week. So far this season, they're 5-1. They're only lost to a very, very good Central team, and that's away in Central. Anytime you have to go out there on the road, it's going to be a difficult game, and you're already at a disadvantage. So I won't knock them too much for that. Big wins against West Hills, Valhalla, Christian. Every game they're putting up 40 points. This is an offense that is rolling. They just shut out La Jolla 49-0. This is a team that is rolling at the right time. Obviously, coming up their next 2 weeks, they're going to be the biggest test to their schedule so far. They play Morse and UC. Those are two very good teams in their division that are going to give them a lot of points. So if you're not doing anything, I would watch those games for sure. The Morse games at home, the UC games away. Those games are going to be huge. How are they going to go against these great offenses? Then they finish with a very good Mission Bay team and a Kenya Hills team to end the year. It's a very tough schedule, but a team that's putting up 40 points a game and shutting out good teams. This Point Loma team is scary. This Point Loma team is seriously scary. They figured out something.
And it would be an interesting narrative arc to have the kids that stuck around with Joel Allen after he yanked the chain on a season early, and certainly had some people upset within the program.
And then they come out and do this.
And then to come out and be like, yeah, no, but this is why we think about it. Like,
that would be crazy.
The kids who are seniors right now were on those teams and were potentially playing on there are kids right now who are seniors at Point Loma that would have wound up playing in a game, whereas they were maybe like a freshman or sophomore. I forgive my math on when the 2020 season was, but I think those kids were freshmen at that point. Sophomores, freshmen, but I'm saying underclassmen kids that could have been put in a position where they would have had to have played against Cathedral with freaking, what was his name as the running back?
Washington?
No, Sean Palma.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it Sean, or is that?
Yeah. Like, I don't know if the same team not physically like survives, like they were going to actually murder kids, but I just like the team might not come out intact the same way as they were, like, to be where they are today. And so to be not just in this conversation, but apparently in the driver's seat, yes, it is a big plot point this year to look at that Point Loma program and their success. Keep going.
Amazing. Going right after them, the UC team at the 4 seed currently. Big win against Fallbrook, a crushing loss against Dornote in the second week of the season. I think everyone remembers that game. That was one of the wildest games we've seen this year for sure. They beat a good Brawley team. They have an overtime loss to Ukaipa, and they, just like we said, beat Bishops. So this UC team has had an interesting schedule, a lot of interesting games. They've won some big games. They've lost some close ones. Coming up, they play Mission Bay, Canyon Hills, obviously that Point Loma game. Then their last 3 games of the year are Point Loma, Morris, and Patrick Henry. That is the 3, 5, and 7 in Division 4. So if you want a chance to prove yourself in the division, they have the perfect opportunity here to do it. It's going to be exciting to see what games they win, what games they lose. This is, like I said, this is a division. I said about last division, this middle part is so close together. There's so much going on, and there is going to be a lot of movement based on the results of these games. What you're looking at now will not be it in 4 or 5 weeks because wins are going to happen. Morse could move up. UC could move down. By the end of this, Point Loma could be the 8 seed. A lot's going to happen in this division. Samuel Cooper is going to do his thing over there. So obviously, always got to watch out for UC and their offense, what they're doing. Then we said the next team, Patrick Henry, the 5 seed. They're 2-2 right now, or 3-2, I believe. Big losses at the beginning of the season. They had a week 1 bye, which is a little strange. They come out and they lose back-to-back games to Mount Carmel Scripps Ranch. Both of those are by a touchdown to a Division II and a Division I game. Obviously, Patrick Henry's had a lot of success recently, but then they come out and they beat Bonita by 28. They beat a really good Morse team who's just ranked below them. So that's another big Division IV win. All these interdivision games are such huge for the programs. I love seeing the division games. I think it's so good to see. They play La Jolla, San Diego, Mira Mesa, and like I said, they finish out against UC. So obviously got to keep an eye on them. One of my favorite teams in this division is ranked at 13. That's San Pasqual. I think they're ranked really low, but I think this is a very good team, a team a lot of people know about, but a lot of team that, I mean, is obviously being disrespected a little bit in the rankings. They finish out with, they play a really good San Marcos team this week. That's a big division game, or outro division game. They play Rancho Buena Vista, Ramona, Fallbrook, Escondido. So they are definitely giving themselves a chance to prove themselves. They're giving themselves a lot of strength of schedule points. Yeah, winning a couple of one of those games would be huge. Hopefully they can sneak in because I think that San Pasqual team is really talented.
San Pasqual, and I would on the very, very outside throw in Olympian because their quarterback has shown that in a given situation he could throw for 5 or 6 touchdowns in one game. But I think San Pasqual specifically is a very interesting one because they could wind up like 6th if everything you said of UC and Patrick Henry and Del Norte all ends up as friendly fire and everybody starts splitting 2 out of 4 with each other. Just the aggregate bloodbath in the middle of this
wild.
Could be crazy. So definitely keep checking back in with this every week. There's going to be a lot to see. We will provide all the links where you guys can check out the real time. I believe they're updated every Tuesday, if I'm reading the website correctly. So yeah, stay tuned and we'll have more for you every week. But until then, go check out a high school football game. We appreciate your support. We appreciate the U.S. Army keeping everything free here at SDPI. Go check out everything they are doing. We'll talk to you guys next time.